Spider-Man Far From Home is the official conclusion to Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you know what? It could not have ended on a more perfect note after all that heavy drama and epicness of Avengers Endgame. You kind of really needed something a little more lighthearted to put, you know, a musical coda, if you will, to the previous saga, and what better character to do that than your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I'm a huge fan of Tom Holland as Spider-Man. This guy just embodies the character. He becomes Peter Parker, he becomes Spider-Man during the action scenes, and I just love how he portrays this iconic character. Not just Holland himself, but the rest of the cast in these Spider-Man movies, man. They are just fantastic. Zendaya, who didn't really have all that much to do in the first movie, but now that we know that she's MJ and she's building this relationship with Peter Parker, that relationship felt very real, very tangible. The chemistry between Zendaya and Tom Holland is fantastic, and every scene that they're in together just really works, and I really like seeing them as a couple. Jacob Batalon, local boy from Damien, he has more to do in this movie as well. He has his own love interest throughout the movie and really provides most of the comedic, humorous moments throughout the movie, so I'm glad that he got an increase in his part. And let's talk about Jake Gyllenhaal. This guy is a fantastic actor, we all know that, but I was like, ooh, can he play a comic book character type? And Mysterio is a really great, famous character from the Spider-Man comics, so I was glad to see him being incorporated into the MCU, and I am glad to see that Jake Gyllenhaal just knocks it out of the park as Mysterio. He's so charismatic, and you really get to know him and his motivations as to why he's doing what he's doing throughout the movie. And I'm not gonna go into any spoilers, but I loved how they introduced the Mysterio character and what they did with him. I thought it worked really well throughout the movie and progressing the movie along. The action scenes in this movie, oh man, talk about upping your game. Director John Watts, comparing the action scenes in Homecoming to Far From Home, it doesn't even compare. The action scenes in Far From Home are amazing. The choreography, the framing, and the pacing is just fantastic. These action scenes in Far From Home, they carry a lot more weight to them because now we're talking about saving the world, so you really have a real sense of danger and of doom and of potential failure. So as you're watching the action go along, you really feel like, holy shit, if they don't make this shit happen, man, shit's gonna go down real bad. And to have that real feeling of danger really makes an effective action scene, and this film has that throughout the movie. But all that aside, the real reason why I really love this movie is that it combines two of my favorite genres of film. I love my high school coming of age films, I love my superhero movies, and this movie really meshes those two genres so well together. There are moments in the movie that focus on Zendaya and Tom Holland and their friends on this high school trip to Europe, and I love that part of it. I thought that was super funny and really well done. And then there are other parts that focuses on Nick Fury and Mysterio and Spider-Man saving the world, and that was really done well as well. And when those two storylines mesh, it's just very harmonious. It didn't feel forced at all. They used their locations really well with Venice, London, Prague, I think the Netherlands was in there, and it was great to see all these different cities and locales, and they were the way used very effectively. You know, throughout the movie, there was no bad scene for me, because whether I was watching Peter Parker and MJ, you know, and their blossoming romance, or was I watching Mysterio, Spider-Man fighting all these elemental monsters, you know, I was just giddy as hell, man, watching this movie. I had a great time with it. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. If I really have to nitpick a few things from this movie, which I don't really want to do because I had such a good time with it, is that Peter Parker wasn't really the Peter Parker that he could be. And what I mean by that is Peter Parker is supposed to be this really brainiac science guy, and we saw a little bit of that in Homecoming, but not so much in Far From Home. There was a one scene or two scenes that maybe utilize his intellect about science and physics and all that stuff, but you didn't really see it too much. So that's a big part of who Peter Parker is, and that wasn't really utilized in this movie. On the flip side, when he's Spider-Man, he's supposed to be real, you know, sarcastic and wisecracking, and that was kind of absent as well. So I think for the next movie, they should really focus more on who Peter Parker is and who Spider-Man is. I think that would be a great help to the Spider-Man films, and also not this movie's fault, but looking ahead to the future, we've done the high school thing now for 2 movies and they've been fantastic. I've had a great time with it, but now let's move on to Peter Parker at the Daily Bugle, being a photographer and being more of an adult. I think that's a whole different aspect of Peter Parker's life that we need to explore, and I'm hoping that Tom Holland is on board for that ride because I think he's fantastic as Peter Parker. So yeah, just a few minor flaws to the movie. I can't really fault the movie for it. And don't forget to stay for the end credits, because if you're like me, you're gonna be like, I will say this is my favorite Spider-Man film of all time. It beats out the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, and I really enjoyed this one a lot. In fact, it's probably in my top 5 MCU movies of all time. That's how much I enjoyed it. I really had a great time with it. It's funny, it's sweet, it's romantic, there's lots of great action, it's intense. So for me, Spider-Man Far From Home gets a 9 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching my review. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel, MC on Film, for more reviews in the future.